with that, we're live. Hello and welcome
come on.
to Drinks and Discussions, the RPG podcast. This is where a bunch of us, well, there used to be more of us, the remainder of us, show up and discuss RPGs and everything therein foretold, withheld, and what's nots and foremost. So to kick things off, we're gonna kick it over to Whiskey Sips with the D's, which is a segment we've invented all of a sudden.
Yeah. So Whiskey Sips with the D's. So today I've got a Lagavulin 16. It's an Islay Scotch. It kind of defines, like, if you're looking for Islay, it is the definition of an Islay. Just a nice smoky whiskey. Very peaty, like the moss that's sitting in the background of Mr. Pickles down there.
I like how you start going in, Mr. Pickles do his wide eye, and then pulls up his little can of beer. Lagavulin is the name of the like. Are there a bunch of different Lagavulins? Because I know you and Tough Nuts talk about Lagavulin a lot. Like, I've heard that pop up multiple times.
Yeah, so Lagavulin, there's a couple of different ones. This one's the 16-year. I think they also have a 12-year. But Lagavulin is just like when somebody says Islay, generally they'll associate it with a Lagavulin, because Lagavulin is just very, like, Islay is known for being a very peaty whiskey, so very smoky whiskey. I mean, the Lagavulin's their slogan is literally takes out the fire but leaves in the warmth. But
I like that.
But it's steeped in tradition. It's a distillery in Islay, Scotland. It's been around since 1816. Started with a guy, John Johnston, on his little farm there. John Johnston.
That's a power name.
Yeah. And then he had a little farm that he would smoke and peat he would smoke the peat and smoke and which he used to peat his barley, and then he started distilling his barley for his Lagavulin. And Lagavulin is actually now it's Gaelic, so I'm going to have to read off the box here, but Lagavulin actually is a kind of a shortened version of Lagan Mulan, Mohulen, which means the hollow where the mill is.
You have a question, Pickles?
Yeah.
Every single explanation you give is like a riddle.
How so?
Takes out the fire, leaves in the warmth. It's like, what?
Clock. The wind. I don't know.
The wind that settles never flows. It's just strange things where it's like, it seems probable, but I don't think I understand.
Marketing.
Yeah. It's like poetry.
I have a fruit smoothie, the 30-minute year age. Because apparently I went and got blood work today, and they told me for a normal person I have really high protein, but for someone my size, build, and activity level, a really low protein. So I have to up my protein intake. So now I'm scarfing down a disgusting super protein packed smoothie. But it's strawberry and banana, so the actual smoothie part is really good. But being fucking jammed full of protein is...
Yeah.
What do you got, Pickles?
Well, I'm known for having cheap beer, and I just picked up the cheapest beer I could. It is Coors Light. Yep, silver can. Not being paid by them, so it has the essence of
the
drinking
opposite. You're paying
snow.
them.
Yeah, I'm paying them, but as
The
minimal as
essence
possible.
of drinking snow? Is that what's on the
It's like
can?
It's got a mountain that sometimes turns blue, but this mountain is not blue. It's magic. So it's sort of like a magical drink. And it just barely tastes different from water.
It really sells itself. Oh. Okay. Yeah. I see the mountain.
Yeah, exactly.
Magical. Tastes like gross water. Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Today we have things we wanted to talk about, and I guess it's the three of us down to it. So we went on a little segment. We went on a little journey where we talked about TTRPGs. What is it? What does it mean to be a DM? What does it mean to be a player? What up, Jason? Thanks for the lurk, bud. So today I wanted to take a break from that, and I wanted to dive back into the RPG gaming side of it. And what I pitched to my cast here is we wanted to talk about what are the best RPGs of all time. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to play a little game. We're going to do the roster game. It's something I see around on TikTok. I don't know what they call it. The draft game, the roster game, whatever. Basically what you do is everybody will take a turn. You'll go around the table and you'll say a game that you'll add to your roster, add to your list. And if I remember, when I upload this to YouTube, I will create little listings for everyone and add them to the list. If I remember, we'll see. So what we're gonna do is we're going to we'll roll for it to see who goes first. So how about we do I don't know, let's go with a D. What do you guys got access to? You guys got dice nearby?
Oh, are we rolling?
Yeah.
I have all of the dice.
We'll go with a D. Do I have a D20 here?
Got a nice
go with a D20
metal.
Yeah,
oh, come on.
Looks great. See
Yeah, it's
through.
blue and gold. Yeah.
I have a no, mine's black and orange.
Well, that's cute.
He's got blue and black. Wait, I've got blue and black. Do I have a D20 blue and black? I do.
Yes.
It's shiny or something.
I guess we'll all be blue.
So let's roll for it. I guess highest to lowest.
Yeah, let's go standard Dungeons and Dragons rules.
Shit.
Well, is my initiative high?
No.
Do I get a bonus to this?
No bonuses.
I get an advantage.
Mine. I need a bonus.
I got an 8.
D's. I got
6.
I got a 3.
An 8 wins it.
Yeah, an 8 wins it. So to go counterclockwise on the Discord screen here. Do you guys see it the same way I do? So I'm top right, Adis top left, and Pickles is bottom middle.
Well, I'm bottom in my version of this always.
Yeah, so I see myself as top left, you're top right, and Pickles is bottom.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, counterclockwise, Pickles to Adis to myself. And Wrath, if you're editing this, boards up, please. Thank you. And we'll kick it off with Pickles. Now, because we have an hour to kill, holy crap, because we have 40 minutes to kill.
Go over.
I didn't even realize what time it was. Talk about it, tell us why. Like, why did you pick that one? I was talking to Adis beforehand. There's a reason I picked these ones and I put them in like categories. But for those listening, for those watching, I didn't give them any categories. I didn't give them any specific rules to this. It was just the best RPGs of all time. We're each going to get a list of 5. How they pick those is up to them. They may have chosen them based on what was most popular, what sold the most, what had the most impact on them growing up, what has the most impact on them now, which one did they play the most. It could be whatever they want, like my list could be the ones that sold the best, while Adis's list is the ones that meant the most to him personally. Like, those are going to be 2 very different lists, maybe. And so our list could be very different. So I'm curious why you guys picked the games you picked, and like why, like what your explanation is. Does that make sense?
Sure.
I thought with the roster game, we're all trying to build the best team possible. So it's whoever thinks of best options, then you'd have the board, right? Like, of these are what you were able to pick. Like, if you picked for RTS games, if you picked Warcraft 3 immediately, the wisest choice, then like nobody else could pick that? Or is it?
Yes, no one else can pick it. That is
okay.
true.
Yeah, so
yeah.
We're competing in a sense there.
In a sense, yeah. I mean, it's just whoever went, like, we're not gonna necessarily pick a winner. We'll have the boards and we'll let commenters and viewers decide, like, which one of those three they would pick, like which one is the winner. For them.
Yeah,
I think that'll be cool, and it gives people a reason to comment. So fucking comment. And stop
I'm
writing
Rumham shirt guy.
Stop writing poop and farts on all my videos. You know who you are. I don't know. It's just blown up. All my videos just have butts and farts and poop on all of them. I mean, it's a comment. Thanks, but okay. So boards are up. Pickles, you're gonna kick us off.
Yes, and I have the best option of all.
Ooh,
I think this is going to be the game ender.
Oh, you can't end it already.
I won the dice roll here. I'm coming out with my guns blazing. Diablo 2. I think is one of the best historically, like one of the most monumental RPG games. And it was a big part of my childhood. I was a Mac family because my dad did tech stuff, and so we had like the Warcraft games for like from start, and because they're also Blizzard, you know, we had StarCraft and Diablo 1 and 2. And so yeah, I played so much on Diablo 2. So many great options for characters, introduces you to the ability to be an edgelord as the necromancer, have an army of undead using your enemy against them. I love that, but also having various other roles and multiplayer, local co-op, BattleNet.
That's a great one.
Great character progression, upgradable weapons, gambling. They just had all of the works everywhere, and the bonus pig level or cow level.
I don't want it. I didn't have on my list.
Yeah, Diablo 2. That's
another one
that
made me think of was Gauntlet, which I know for a fact Pickles wouldn't put on his list, but
yeah,
it was one that I hadn't thought of, and I was like, oh yeah, fair. I'm surprised I just remembered one that is immediately going to like the top of my list. I don't know how I missed it, but so again, preface before we go too far. Pickles and I had like 9 hours to think of through all this because we talked about it in the Discord earlier. Adis wasn't able to check the Discord, didn't know about any of this until like 10 minutes before the session, and he was like, I don't know what the topic is, and I was like, oh. So he's had like 10 minutes to put together his list, so best of luck, bud.
Yeah. So number one, starting off with what I know and love, World of Warcraft, specifically classic, I would say.
I knew that was going to be on someone's list.
Yeah, I got to do it to him. Mainly because I mean it's been around since 2005. It's I mean classic had the revival of the old vanilla gameplay.
Classic.
That came out in 2019.
I was gonna say that's the one that came out recently, didn't it? Yeah, because I remember you guys were like, "Hey, Classic just came out. You could come and join us. We're already like level 300." I was like, "No."
No. Yeah. So and it's just getting I mean, we're getting back into Tough Nuts and I are getting back into or getting revved up for hardcore classic hardcore, which is about to drop. Which is essentially you die in the game, your character's deleted, and you have to restart from level 1.
Wow, that sounds like so much fun.
It's a lot of fun.
I played Raft where like you died and you lost half your inventory, and I was like, no, never. Pickles was there for that. He's like, no, this is the worst.
But yeah, so that's it has a lot of sentimental meaning to myself, namely from the fact that I have one of my friends for life from it, Tough Nuts. He and I have been playing World of Warcraft since high school and stayed good friends all through college, and now even as we're adults, we still hang out and obviously play games together.
I'm juggling which one I want it to be at the top of my list, but I'm gonna go with the Mass Effect 1 through 3 series. And the reason why, not Andromeda, because Andromeda ruined it. And it almost went off my list because of Andromeda. Like, I feel like the trilogy got tainted by this, like, fucking ugly stepsister that was like, oh, I'm a part of the family too! And I'm like, no. But
no. Oh wait.
Yeah, go away. Get out of the family picture. The Mass Effect 1 through 3 was just such a beautiful trilogy that I have played through multiple times. It's like a story that's like connected to my heart. There's character customization. There's team building where you get to put together your team and like recruit people and you get really connected to them. There's great backstories to each of your characters and there's purpose behind them. And the whole story of the game is just very enveloping. I remember, like, spoilers if you haven't played this game that came out like 10 years ago. 20? 10. I don't know. Like, playing through the whole thing, I got to the end and I it's on stream. It was recorded. There's this like alien AI kid and he's like, do you choose this option or this option? And I was like, I wonder, and I just shot him and he was like, fine then, and it ruined my entire like 3 series play. And I was like, can I reload? No, that was my option, that's what I chose. And it was just it impacted me so much and I was like, I've invested so much, like, and it's a great story and I love the way it was handled. I love the way they made the game come together. I feel like every part turned well, like every cog was in motion, and it genuinely didn't have like a downside to me. Like there was no like, oh my god, this part's so hard, or this part sucks, or there's these micro fucking transactions, or there's so many bugs. Like none of that. Granted, till Andromeda ruined everything, but those 3 I feel like are one of the most solid gaming experiences to date, of like story, character building, just all of it combined. So that's why it's my number 1.
I feel like the Mass Effect series also touches on your desire for things with Suikoden 4, like having your major ship that you can improve or at least get more crew for.
Yeah, you don't really add on or build on or upgrade your ship, besides the fact that from one game to the second game to the third game, your ship gets better.
Okay.
So in that regard, it kind of does, but it's not through your own doing. However, you do, like you said, your crew additions to the ship make it better. To where, like, even in the downtimes, you get to meander through your ship and get to interact with these people that you brought together, and it's rewarding. Like I never was like, let's get to the next mission. It was like, man, like I enjoy being able to hang out on what I've built. It's a very immersive experience and by far my number 1. I had another one on the list and I'm actually, I don't think either of you will choose it. I'm not gonna choose it, even though it probably had as much connection. You guys will probably be able to guess what it is. It probably had as much connection to me and like just so much passion and immersion and just time spent in this game that I just love. But the amount of bugs and the amount of just failed experiments this company did with it ruined the entire series. There's like 15 in the series or some shit like that now. However, Assassin's Creed Black Flag will by far forever be a favorite game. It's not on my list, so it is still up for grabs. But Assassin's Creed's were going to be my number 1 pick, but so many bugs that it just ruined the series. What they did with it, and even like Valhalla, like I love the Viking thing, and that game wasn't all that for me. So it's not my number 1. But that's it for me. We're on to number 2, second round. So far we've got Diablo, which you're saying Diablo 2. I'm just gonna give you the Diablo series. Is that cool?
I'm happy with the first Diablo, but I've never played the third or fourth, and I've heard things where I feel like it's more of first and second for this category.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like me with Mass Effect. I did 1, 2, 3, not 4.
Yeah. I'll take the first one because I like that one.
Okay. So we've got Diablo 2/1, parentheses 1,
Yeah.
Whisper 1.
Yeah, parentheses 1.
We've got World of Warcraft, specifically Classic?
Yeah, specifically Classic.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah, like Classic through Wrath of the Lich King.
whatever all that means. There you
Yeah.
go. Write that down, Wrath. And
You're doing a good job, Wrath Editor.
Yeah.
Great job, Wrath.
Do better.
No, you don't say thank you right now. You say thank you when you're in the editing booth.
I thought you were talking about D's, and I was like, what?
No,
me.
Yeah, you're the one thanking us.
And then Mass Effect 1 through 3. On to round 2. What we got?
Yeah, I'm coming out swinging again. Neverwinter Nights. Yeah,
it's not on my list, but I did think about it. I was like,
I got that from a friend's house one day. They were like, yeah, you can borrow the discs, because you needed like 3 of them, I think, to install it. And I was so excited because I played it at his house, and like I'd played Diablo 2 before, and that was really interesting, the different choices and leveling your characters and all the weapons. But then Neverwinter Nights is like, what is this magical system? I have so many races and classes to pick from, and different weapons, and there's more details to it. It's like an advanced Diablo and Dragons, which it is like 3rd or 3.5 edition D&D, but it really entranced me. Like, that was one where it was just RPG capabilities to an even higher level. You can customize your character's appearance even. It was rudimentary at the time, but still better than Diablo 2, where it's like the Amazon is the Amazon. You're not going to have a non-blonde Amazon. I think she was blonde.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the one? God, was there a couple different ways to start? I remember starting, and you're like at your dad's place, and there's like a festival happening. Is that the right one?
That's the second one.
That's Neverwinter Nights 2.
Yes, which was also a great game, and I believe it used 4th or maybe 5th edition D&D.
I don't remember. So long
5th
ago.
edition. And that was a bit different, but I really love the first one. That's where you start in like the castle of Neverwinter or something. You're like training and you're preparing to go out, and then you help stop a plague. Is the first like major plot beat.
Part of the Elder Scrolls series.
Pretty sure it's Forgotten Realms.
Okay. I was trying to think, like, Elder Scrolls before Oblivion, which was number 3. What was Elder Scrolls 2?
Daggerfall.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
And what was
I never
1,
played
then?
it, but I don't know.
Morrowind?
That's like a DOS.
Morrowind. Okay.
Like,
For some reason, I was thinking Neverwinter Nights was a part of that. It's its own thing.
Yeah, it's Forgotten Realms. D&D 3.5, and I'm pretty sure the sequel was 5th edition.
Okay.
Had a lot of quality of life things, and the Warlock class was added to that. But yeah, Neverwinter Nights is my second option. I loved it because it's everything about Diablo 2, but a little bit better. Also, co-op with your friends, so you could have a D&D party there. It also had the GM mode where you could make your own adventures.
God, really? When did that game come out? Shit.
I will look that up for you.
That's crazy. It had all that?
Yeah, it did, and I tried to make a few adventures, but it's like then I was like, who's gonna join me? It would have to be local area network, and I have like 2 computers. So it was 2002.
This is old, and it had all that. That's crazy. Because I remember, like, I think it was Divinity Original Sin 2. One of the big selling aspects was they have a DM mode where you can like create your adventure and have your players go through it, and everybody's like, "Whoa, that's crazy!" But to hear that they had that like 20 years ago in these games, I'm like, "Damn!" Like, that is not a new feature.
I mean, it was very crude.
I'm sure.
But yeah, I want to say StarCraft from Blizzard also had the same thing. Is you were able to craft your own levels, and they had a system of triggers. So if like units cross a certain line, then text will appear on the screen, or enemies will spawn, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you could write your own stories in a sense, go into GM mode with StarCraft. And I think StarCraft was around the same time. StarCraft 1 is what I'm talking about. 1998. Damn. So that was 4 years earlier.
Yeah.
But again, that was
some
quite
coding
crude.
in your hands so you could run your own games. That's cool.
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't know that was so old. Okay. So you've got
Diablo 2 and Neverwinter Nights.
Neverwinter Nights the first.
Yeah, primarily the first. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
These.
Number 2, I got to go with The Witcher.
Damn, that was on my list too. Yeah, that's a good one. Solid fucking choice.
Solid game. Yeah, it's. I mean,
if we want to go community favorite, I think his list is already winning. Community favorite, like people are gonna be like World of Warcraft and Witcher 3. People are gonna vote you hands down. But maybe we've got some
back pocket deals.
Yeah. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
No, but yeah, I mean, Witcher 3. I played it. I honestly didn't play it until I was in college. But then after playing through Witcher 3,
it's crazy how long the game has been out too.
Yeah, I immediately got hooked, and then I went back and replayed 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm. Which,
well,
they were great for their time. But trying to replay them now, it's like, oh my god, is that a person or a square? Like,
I mean, yeah, even the second one, they still had quite a bit of the cinematics that, and also like some of the graphics that were just outstanding. I mean, they still even hold up to some games today.
I really like the story in the second one. I think they did really well with that.
Yeah,
and Kingslayer or something.
Kingslayer, yes. Yeah. Yeah. So the only thing was like the amount of linear progression and things, and the realization sometimes that you had to go back to previous things, or like you missed something in the previous zone and there wasn't any way to go back to it. That was a little bit like, you definitely started to feel like how it was. It was very open world, but it wasn't very open world at the same time. Like, I remember my first playthrough of I had to restart my first playthrough of the second one because I got through the first village that you end up in, and then you get to like defending the queen, and then you go into these caves afterwards. And one of your missions is to start blowing them up using bombs. Well, if you didn't pick up the bomb from the previous village, there was no way for you to craft these bombs. So you had to reload an old save just to go back and get the recipes.
Shit.
To go craft that stuff. So, or you could just continue without doing that quest, but I'm a completionist, so.
Yeah. I mean, I bought the game. I'm gonna play the entirety of it. That's me.
Yeah. So I mean, if I had one gripe, but honestly, as a whole, the series, I loved every minute of it. I went back and replayed it, starting from the third one, went back, played through, and then I still, from time to time, pick up the Witcher 3 and just play around with some swords and fight some monsters.
I still remember, I think it's like one of the first missions in Witcher 3, you go up against, God, what is it, Griffin? Something on top of that mountain? The top of that hill?
Yeah.
And it's just like when you first picked it up and you get the game and you're like, oh my god, this looks so good. Like, there's an actual fucking griffin flying around and I'm attacking it. You feel so powerful. You're like, I'm down in my potions. Like, it's
put my oils on
and go. Great choice. Solid choice. Yeah. I debated this one a lot, which isn't good for my second pick, but one I don't think you guys will choose, and I'm choosing it, basically, it's my version of World of Warcraft. It's my version of, well, yeah, it's a game that I was able to play with friends, way back when, like, before gaming was, like, as big as it is now. I'm going with RuneScape as my retro pick. Solid pick, I think.
Solid pick.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a huge game that people play apparently, and it's been out for like 20 years. I remember playing this game, I think it was like middle school or high school, and I remember because I had a character named like Turbo Bob 2.0 was my character's name. Turbo Bob 2.0. And that was the name of my gallant warrior. And I remember everyone, we'd go to school and we're like, yeah, my guy's fishing right now. Like, I gotta get home and see how high my fishing skill is. And like is great, and I made a lot of friends through it, and it's my version of World. A lot of people got into World of Warcraft. I got into RuneScape. That was my game. But I think it's a solid pick. I think it's a solid RPG. Will I play it now? No. But do I think it still stands out as one of the greatest RPGs to come out and like have that kind of effect? Yeah. Yeah, I think it does.
For sure.
So for second round, we've got Neverwinter Nights. We've got Witcher. Those are both solid games. This is a great list. And RuneScape. We're gonna end in the third round.
Yeah, third round. Third round. I want to take the South Park games.
Really?
Those are RPGs.
Yeah, absolutely they are. I just wouldn't have thought best of all time, huh?
I think so.
All right.
The first one, Stick of Truth, that has a lot of like heavy it's a lot of references to fantasy and stuff like that, and it's not terribly difficult, but it's got a lot of options. You can replay as different characters and get a different experience each time. It's not terribly long, but both games, honestly, as somebody who loves South Park and has watched the series many, many times, it was just surreal to have my own personal episode, in a sense, that I can play as different characters and get slightly different things happening. You get so much to customize your character with. There's a lot of equipment where you can go for some terribly, terribly broken builds, but that's kind of the game anyways, so it's just like you just roll with it, and you're like, wow, if I'm super bleeding, then I can kill anything in one hit. But I only have 10 rounds to live. Oh, but there can't be more than 10 enemies. It's like that kind of thing. And then the superhero one was just also the same thing.
Butthole?
Yeah, the fractured butthole.
Yeah, I played that one.
That was also just like it's just fun being able to be in a universe and have an extended story that's playing out with you.
That's the one with the strip club with like booty.
Yes.
Booty.
Yes, and I had a lot of hard.
Huge on my channel. That went on
hard.
for like 3 months.
I failed many times at that because I wanted to make it out without anybody getting pounded.
It took me probably just as long, but I kept stopping and dancing to the mute. Booty. Booty. It became like one of my alerts for a while. It was popular. Good game.
But yeah, that'd be my third choice. South Park games.
I would say it's probably one of our newer games that actually relates to like current day. Like South Park's still ongoing. Like that's still popular. Like what's the word? I'm like a pop culture reference.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's from the late 90s. It came out in like what, 99? And it's still going. Yeah, they're in the
South
20
Park.
Plus seasons. Yeah.
I thought you meant the game, so I was like, no.
Oh no. These games came out
no
like
way.
recently. No, the old South Park games are terrible. I'm just talking about the Nintendo 64 and before. Like those are just like that was a cash grab. These are actually like voiced properly. It literally feels like you are in that universe, exploring people's houses. And after watching 20 plus seasons of the show, it's like, wow, it's insane how much detail they put into the games of finding items that relate to specific characters from specific episodes. It's like you find Randy Marsh's medical marijuana license that he got from the one episode where they banned KFC and medical marijuana comes in. Like it's just specific that one episode from that one season items that you find, and then you're like, okay, it's worth 45 cents. I'm gonna go sell it.
As someone who hasn't watched South Park, I know. As someone who hasn't watched South Park, I still had so much fun, and I played through both games. And I was like, I played through, I think it was the Fractured Butthole I played through first, and then I was like, I need to go back and play Stick of Truth, because this was fun. Even as someone who hasn't seen them, they were solid games. Like, it drew me in. And like I was even quoting stuff, and I was like, why am I quoting South Park? I've never even seen it, but I was like talking like is he the guidance counselor?
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay. Yeah, that was it.
You gotta stay away from drugs, okay?
Okay. Yeah, I was doing that for like a month to people. They'd be like, oh, I'm gonna go over here and do this. Okay.
It's yeah.
Fair.
If an RPG can be classed as something where you get into a role and you are immersed in the setting, I feel like for me, that was one that was very, very easy to get immersed in.
Good out. Okay.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3, I'm going a bit of old school, something that I played a lot of as a child, but even before World of Warcraft. Pirates of the Caribbean Online.
What?
What?
Yes.
Not where I
knew
thought this was going at all.
The greatest RPGs of all time.
A game I've never even heard of. I mean,
Wait,
I
so
think I
what
might have
year?
heard-
What year would have this have been? Like 2008?
2007, 2008. It got lost in like World of Warcraft. But it was certainly like one of the ones that I was playing a lot of as a kid, because when I was growing up, we only had the family computer. So the only like online game that my parents were okay with was something that they knew of. And so Disney and Pirates of the Caribbean, that was like the closest that we got. So I remember like going and sneaking downstairs at like 11 o'clock at night, which doesn't seem like much now, but as a kid, that was a lot. That was late.
Oh no, you are a wild man as a child.
But
Wild man as a child.
but I remember like sneaking downstairs to go and hop online and play on Bobo Jones, the my character, and
It's better than Turbo Bob 2.0, so he's got me beat.
I mean, he was
It's kind of pirate-like. So
yeah, he was sailing around in his war frigate, and he had I mean, he was fully maxed out on swords and pistols. He still needed to work on some of his voodoo stuff, but
well, yeah.
it was a very fun game that I remember
kind of mad
fondly
I
from
never
my
played
childhood.
this. That sounds awesome. Like,
Yeah.
that reminds me of Pickles. Remember, I think it was you. We tried to play a game called, I think it was Black Wake.
Was it the one that was like Sea of Thieves, but only 99 cents? And
Yeah,
you're on
yeah.
a ship and you engage in combat and it's terrible except for your
Yeah.
enemy's really good at it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Yeah, that is the closest I've come to being able to play a game. I mean, I got into Sea of Thieves for all of like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Mainly because
Wow. You made it that long?
yeah.
How
I
long?
think the only way you really get to enjoy that game is with the right crew.
Mhm.
And if there's one thing that has plagued Wrath for like 20 years, it's having the right group of friends to play games with. And Pickles can
And
attest
the
to
other
that because
players.
we play D&D, and how many times have we had a good group to play with? Yeah. It still
Well, I
plagues me
like-
because, like, how is my Milsim going? It's not. I don't have anyone to play games with. So, yeah. Sea of Thieves was a similar problem.
Yeah,
That
this one-
game-
I just had a problem in Sea of Thieves with other players, the enemies saying inappropriate things to me.
Oh.
Yeah, it was ruined by other players spamming like the N-word and
Yeah.
and
Toxic
calling me.
communities.
And then I
speaking of
realized
which-
I was playing a female character that happened to be a little bit darker, and it was like, oh, that's why I'm getting other other targeted things. It was like, this is not fun. People just come after us and then spam their
next
nonsense.
roster, we should do games that were ruined by the players.
Oh,
That would be
too many options.
that would
Still
be
World of Warcraft classic.
Pulsar.
I was gonna say Rainbow Six Siege would be my number one.
Oh, no, that's the winner right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be my number one. That would be a great roster to do. Okay, so
Write that down.
what? Write that down. Write that down. It was Pirates of the Caribbean Online.
Yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean Online.
Out of the fucking woodwork. Never would have seen that one coming. Okay, I feel like a sellout choosing this one, but have good reason. Huge nostalgia. Played it on my Game Boy. Remember sitting on. Do you guys remember? It used to be everywhere. Now they're like hidden. Like gone. Those green power boxes in your front yard, or someone's front yard in your neighborhood. There'd be that big green power box. You have one?
I was one right outside my
You know
window.
what I'm talking about, Pickles?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they had like the warning signs saying "Don't touch, you'll be electrocuted."
Yeah.
They had like
Yeah.
a demon that was like,
Absolutely.
"I'm the demon of electrocution. I want children." And
Yeah,
it's like,
so we would all sit on top of that and play Game Boy.
Right.
And we would play next to each other. I'm going with Pokemon.
he might win this.
Yeah, I know Pokemon's a huge sellout.
That's a great series.
Yeah, and it's still going on. There's things that I don't like in that literally every game is just the same fucking thing, but now you have an ice cream cone and a pocket of key rings or something like that. Great, good job.
Those are my favorite Pokemon.
No, so I'm talking like, I mean, this is gonna, people might be mad, but I'm talking like red, blue, green, yellow, like the first, like, because there was nothing like it. Like Pokemon was its own thing. It was an RPG, but it was a beast tamer. Like, what other games were there where like the RPG wasn't like you're building your crew on a ship, or your character specifically, you were building your little team of minions? I think Pokemon stood out and did it well, and obviously they blew the fuck up.
Did you ever get their VHS tape?
No.
Okay, the weirdest thing happened to me before Pokemon came out. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, go for it.
But I got a VHS tape in the mail one day, and it was like a promo for Pokemon before anything had come out. I think you can find it on YouTube, actually. But it's like their rough draft of it being like, hey, this new craze is coming out. It's going to be this cool thing. What are these guys?
Sounds like
Pokemon? And like they showed some of the cartoon like they had plans for. They showed that there would be video games. And then like the games came out. My brother got one. He got red. But yeah, like, did you guys ever get that promo?
No.
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess I had.
Remember, I'm a young lad.
Oh, that's right.
I also
guess
think
I just had an agreement.
I might have lived in Alaska when it came out.
Oh, yeah,
Nothing good goes to Alaska.
That's true.
They're like, people live there? We didn't send anything there. Yeah, I'm gonna pick Pokemon it because nostalgia. It was Game Boy. I remember I'd sit there for hours and just play, and like it was so fun. It was so different. It was so new. It was, I mean, it really was a great game. Like there wasn't flaws to the original Pokemon. I mean, even today, I don't think they have like flaws to Pokemon. It's not like microtransactions, bugs, it's not like Andromeda, Mass Effect Andromeda, where it kills the series. They don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pokemon's just a solid RPG.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't include like Gold and Silver, where they brought in like the day and night schedule, and where certain Pokemon would appear on certain days of the week.
No, I think that's great. I think that's absolutely wonderful. I haven't played a lot of those. I have most of my experience with the original red, blue, green, yellow. I think I had red. I think I stole someone's green, and I had yellow. And I
did blue and yellow.
Favorites. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think Pokemon has definitely adapted and added new features. Like I remember there was like this the park. You would go in and there was a bug catching contest on different days, and I was like, that's amazing. Like, oh mom, I have to play on Tuesday. There's a bug catching contest, and like, I remember I'd be in the car, and my Game Boy had a little adapter that had a light that because they didn't have lit up screens. I know I'm dating
the worm light.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, the little light.
It's called the worm light.
But you couldn't actually. It would shine, but it didn't really help. Like you would have to like have it like shining over there so you could kind of see, because it would just glare off your screen, like reflect, and you're like, I can't see anything. Yeah, I'd be driving in the car and I'd have my little light, and then if my light went out, I'd be like, oh no, now I can't see what I'm doing. Yeah, Pokemon is my number 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so for round 3, what do we have? We have where did you go with your round
South
3?
Park.
South Park games. That's right. And out of the park pick, I wouldn't have guessed. Over to Pirates of the Caribbean Online. Another one I never would have picked. And then here I am with Pokemon, where you guys are like, okay.
No, that's a great pick. That I think a lot of people will relate to that as a strong RPG. where you level your characters.
He took Witcher and he took World of Warcraft. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm losing. I gotta throw something into the ring.
And I'm just throwing bricks over here.
It was, yeah, you've got a very specific list, and it's great. I mean, your first two are ones I could 100% see. The third one, you sold me on. Like, I could see it. Best of all time, I don't know, but great fucking pick, for sure.
Yeah.
So we're into round 4.
And it's time for me to do something that some people will say is a major miss, and some people may say is a major hit. I would like to pick Disco Elysium as my fourth option here.
I didn't play that, but I remember hearing about you playing through it, and you spoke about it for some time, and I never played through it.
It's along the lines of a very immersive RPG, rather than what you might think of with an RPG like character customization. It really is, you're playing a troubled individual, and your character sheet is the different, like, career experiences you have and different thoughts that you're having and how you're handling situations and what you want to have pop up in your mind, because there's never really any combat. You're never in combat with anything, but you have things like, was I a good cop? Do I know cop talk as one of your skills? And other things are like, do I think about weird things a lot? Everything is just so unique for an RPG about an alcoholic detective trying to figure out why a guy got hung from a tree. And what I really love, it's all text-based. I think they added voice lines, but when I played it was all text-based. It's just such an immersive, grim setting with very intensive political options. And of all these things, often you'll pick an option, you'll roll your dice, you get a success, and the success is terrible. You should have failed that kind of roll. It's the thing like where quick thinking doesn't really help you, it just buries you a little bit more. And that's why with Disco Elysium is just one of those things where it's like everything about the game makes me feel so immersed. And I got to a point where I don't want to give spoilers away, and I don't even know if it's correct spoilers, but I was so immersed in the game that when I found out my character might have done something, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't continue this. I cannot continue this because that's so grim and brutal. Like, it's a redemption arc, and it's so beautiful.
I don't think I would play it, but I would pay money to watch you stream that. Like, if you did a playthrough of that, I would pay money. Like, I would sub. I would be like, we're watching this. We're putting it up in Discord. We're doing a movie night where we watch Pickles play through. I would, especially if it's on your list of best RPGs of all time. Like, 100%, I would watch you play that.
Yeah. Same.
That's very sweet of you guys to say. But that's my number 4 for our top
4.
5 RPG rosters. Maybe we should do a quick throwdown for Tough Nuts joining in.
Tough Nuts, are you going to be able to catch up, or should we wrap up this segment and get into our next segment, which may or may not be a segment? Jesus.
Your call. Am I too loud?
Was he not loud as fuck for you guys?
He's
Yeah,
loud
you
as
guys,
fuck.
you're using like a different microphone?
Yeah. I was like, fucking hell.
Or have you gained like 10 power levels recently?
That would do it.
Is that better?
Oh god, now I've turned you down.
Now you're whispering
Yeah.
from across the room.
I turned you down.
Better? Hello? Hello?
It is a
Yeah,
different
it's
mic.
getting there.
It's definitely a different mic.
No, it's this one.
Oh, well, now, come on.
Well, yeah, put it close to you.
It's this one. Hang on.
You're not
It's
ruining
right.
our suspension of disbelief by having a modern microphone in your tavern.
Okay.
I mean,
well,
to be fair, if Tough Nuts comes into this, you're at an immense disadvantage.
absolutely.
We've taken basically all of the best options. We're doing like a run through of our favorite. We're making our rosters of RPGs.
Well, let's see what he comes up with. So we've got. You guys might have to help me out because I haven't written this down. It'll be on the YouTube video.
Wait.
hopefully.
Don't tell me, and maybe I'll say the same ones.
Okay, yeah.
But you're not allowed to say the same ones.
No,
but if I don't know, then it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, let's do a blind one. He gets to go blind because he wasn't here.
But then
All
they
right,
won't
pick your
count if I don't understand.
I just
It
want
just
to give
seems
him an
interesting
advantage.
because it's unique, because I don't know what you guys said.
Okay, fair enough.
Because then we
So-
could be like, oh my gosh, I did the same one, and since you weren't here, we're going to let you also have it.
But he can't also have
No.
it because the viewers have to pick their team.
Yeah, but he's
You
at
can't
such a
have the same one.
disadvantage in this
Okay,
competition.
fine. Tell me what you said.
Well, we'll just if we have it, it'll be like Family Feud, where if somebody's already said it, you ding it, and then he has to pick a different one.
So
Okay, so it's top RPGs of all time. Now, how you order your list is up to you. It could be ones that were most popular, ones that sold the most, ones that meant the most to you. Weird ones like what I'm doing, where it's like this one I feel like had the best story. This one had the best character. This one had the best replayability. You know, whatever your order list is, that's up to you. But top 5 you get to pick, and it's a draft that we're doing. Basically, we go around and like you picked A, okay, you picked B, you picked C, you tried. A was on my list, but I can't pick it, so on and so forth. So, what would you put in your number 1 slot?
Oh gosh, I haven't thought about this at all. So
yeah, well, he had like D said like 10 minutes. He didn't know either.
I mean, would it buy you time if we did talk about, like, briefly summarize, like, reference what we already said? I don't know if you wanted to.
Okay, I don't know if these are in order, but I'll start going through some that are like high on my list.
Well, just one.
I thought you said top 5.
Right,
We're going through it in turns. We're on round 4.
We're only at round
so technically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would be your number 1, and then we talk about it.
Okay, most impactful for me is an MMORPG, and it'd be Lord of the Rings Online.
Oh, that's a new one. That's a new one.
Yeah, and there's a lot of issues with that game. It's not the best game, but I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and that was a huge part of my life. So a lot of good memories there and really good people. So yeah, I could talk for hours about that game, but
I could see that. Yeah, that was a new one. I thought you were gonna go with his number 1 pick, but yeah, Lord of the Rings Online. It's one that I tried to get into, and I hate MMOs, but if there's an MMO I would stand behind, it would be Lord of the Rings Online. The second one would be Elder Scrolls Online, but to be fair, I've never played Elder Scrolls Online. The only reason I would stand behind it is because I really like the Elder Scroll world.
Yeah. Okay.
So number 1 is that my number 1 was the Mass Effect series, Mass Effect 1 through 3 specifically. Pickles number 1.
I swung the battle axe of Diablo 2 because I rolled the highest in our initiative order.
Yep.
So I was like, "Yep, I'm going for the best options."
Yeah, he stole Diablo 2 before anyone else could pick it up.
Yep.
And Adis,
Adam said Skyrim.
No.
I said
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was going to say that as my next one, but thanks.
I was like, technically, no one has said Skyrim yet, which I was very surprised by.
Yeah. But no, my number 1 was World of Warcraft.
Okay. Yeah.
Specifically classic, if I remember right.
Specifically
Yeah.
classic.
It's on his list, so you can't see. That's only on YouTube. But
I have to agree.
Second, what would be your second pick? Tough Nuts.
Well, I'm gonna take Skyrim.
Yeah.
If no one said it.
That one hasn't been said yet. It's obviously up there.
Yeah,
Can I say you can only take 1 Elder Scrolls per item? We've done a little bit of package deals, but I feel like Morrowind and Oblivion and Skyrim are so different.
Yeah. Mass Effect 1 through 3, you're the same character. Like it's the same storyline.
We'll allow that. The court.
That's fair. Yeah, I'll say Skyrim. Not necessarily because I think it's the best RPG of all time, but if we're going for impactful on my development in RPGs, it's huge. It was one of the ones that like got me into gaming altogether. So
I think that's going to be a similar story for a lot of people. Like Skyrim, I think Skyrim's marketing was perfect. Even if like the game is the game, I mean, at the end of the day, the game is not the best RPG of all time, but the impact it had on people, the story it had, like the amount of hours people put into that game,
and also
the marketing done by that game was. If we talked about a game that had the best marketing in history, I'd say it's Skyrim.
Yeah.
The thing I would add is, for me, there's a lot of value in replayability of a game. So that's why, like, Lord of the Rings, like any MMO is going to score high on that mark. And Skyrim was a unique single-player RPG that filled that role for me because of all the mod support and, like, things you could do to make the game feel fresh again.
I think Skyrim is one of the first games I ever like started fucking around with mods.
Yeah, and
Skyrim
that's
is.
I mean, that's another like huge conversation, but that was a cool part of that game that people are still making new content for it.
Pickles, what was your number 2?
Yeah, I was gunning for gold here, and I went Neverwinter Nights, specifically the first one, but also sort of the second one. Like, I played a little bit of it, and the save got corrupted. But I mean, I picked Diablo 2 and Neverwinter Nights because I had never played D&D before, and so when I saw those, I was like, "What is this beautiful accounting problem? I love everything, all the options and replayability, as you said. That's what marks a good RPG is playing different roles. If it's not fun to play different roles, then it's not a good RPG, in my opinion. And so, yeah, those were my first 2 options.
Fair.
Mhm.
East, your second pick was
My second was The Witcher.
specifically.
Do I have to go specifically?
I guess you
said
technically
3.
specifically 3, but if you think about it, The Witcher is a continued series of the same characters,
Yeah,
similar to
same
Mass Effect
character.
1 through 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would allow it. Plus 1 and 2 kind of get lumped in together because they're both like 20 years old at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, he chose the Witcher series. My number 2 was RuneScape. As one of the best, I think. I think it's I don't have the stats and I don't have the numbers, and I'm sure it gets absolutely dwarfed by World of Warcraft. But to me, it was competition. I didn't play World of Warcraft. I played RuneScape, and I think RuneScape was as big, maybe not still, but was as big, like a huge competitor for World of Warcraft.
Yeah, well, it came first. It came first, and
it was.
It had
I
a
think it was
huge
huge.
following,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think RuneScape
Yeah.
blew the fuck up. And I think it, like, if people talked about like what was one of the first like RPGs they ever played, I think RuneScape would be on a lot of people's lists. Is that RuneScape? You have it? Yeah. And that's the thing, is it's still going today. Like, they still have
play
it.
it on your
It's
phone
still
now.
very popular. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
You could fish in class.
Yep.
Yes.
So that was my number 2. What would be your number 3, Tough Nuts?
I'm going first. You guys already.
We already did 3.
Okay.
We're on 4.
You came in when I was doing my number 4, and I'm first in initiative order. That sounds really dirty.
Gotcha. Okay.
Doing my number 4.
So I have a funny one.
Okay.
I'm gonna save it though. Another one that I really enjoyed, which I'm wondering if maybe Adam said, is
No,
I'll go with.
It's definitely not his number 3. I'm gonna guarantee you're not about to say his number 3. If he does, I'm gonna lose it.
I'm gonna say Far Cry 3.
Nope. Okay, we're good.
I
I was waiting. I was like, I'm surprised he didn't say Far Cry.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good Far Cry games. I think 3 was my favorite as far as the time it came out and stuff. I love the story and the themes there. And it's something different, you know. Usually I go for the more medieval, like, classic fantasy, and it's a different vibe, but I enjoyed those games.
Yeah, and Far Cry 3 was multiplayer, wasn't it? You could co-op that. Yeah.
They had co-op. I never did that. I always did single player.
Yeah.
An RPG?
Yeah.
You don't think so?
Well, I've only played Far Cry 2, and I remember that being like you were looking for diamonds to upgrade guns, and that was about all that you could really do besides pick
it's
your
pretty
partner.
story driven. I played Far Cry 2 as well.
Okay, yeah.
Far Cry 3 has much more story driving it.
I mean, if you look at Far Cry 3, I mean, granted, I am not huge into the Far Cry, what do you call that? Universe? The Far Cry series? Yeah, lore. But
the crying comes from afar.
Far Cry, basically, here, Far Cry 3. Wow, it's $5.
They kind of all stand alone.
Yeah, that's what I kind of got the vibe about, because I read a little bit about the first, and I was like, oh, okay, so I'm just a guy in, I think, Africa that's dealing with bad
That's the
things.
second one.
Yeah, I played the second one. Yeah. Yeah, I had to take the pills all the time.
The old one that was back in like retro graphics, like still 2D models and stuff.
Which one was the one where you got like, God, was this a Far Cry where you like they injected you. You had like some of their blood in you, and you would have this primal rage thing that would come out every now and then.
Are you? Oh,
Was that not?
well,
Far
there's
Cry?
Far Cry Primal.
That might.
That kind of sounds like Deus Ex.
No,
Yeah, that's
think
Deus Ex.
I didn't play. Well, maybe I did play that. I don't
That
know.
also sounds like Bioshock.
Maybe it was
Yeah,
Bioshock.
that
I
too.
don't know. Another game that I'm surprised no one has said.
Yeah.
I mean, I have neutral feelings about a beloved series.
But yeah, original Far Cry was like you were this grunt commando on this island, got stranded on this island, had to save the damsel in distress sort of thing, but you were a grunt that just got dropped on this island with a bunch of mutants around. And then Far Cry 2 was, the African campaign where you were, I think you were there on like mercenary business, and you ended up getting in the middle of like a warlord conflict.
Yeah, the Jackal does not like you.
Yes. Far Cry 3 was all about you were a college student that just like got caught in this you got caught by these like pirates and had to go up against, eventually ended up fighting a militia group. And then Far Cry 4 was you were in India trying to spread your grandmother's ashes, and then you got roped into a civil war. And then Far Cry 5, you were just a sheriff's deputy that went in to go and break up a cult, and then you ended up having to fight off the entire cult.
One. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
And then Far Cry 6. Yeah. Far Cry 6, which I'm currently playing, you play as a kind of a you're just you start out as somebody who is like friends with this person who's recruiting people for this like liberation militia in kind of a Cuba setting, and then and you end up your militia friend ends up dying, and then you get drafted essentially into the militia and start fighting against this dictator.
So
Wow.
Far Cry 3. Pickles, what was your number 3?
My number 3 was the South Park series, specifically the ones that were Stick of Truth and Fractured But Whole. I really like being immersed in a setting of a show that I've watched many times that has 20 plus seasons, so it was basic RPG stuff, picking characters that you go through and having different reactions depending on what kind of character you play in a setting that, I mean, I'm quite familiar with. I imagine it's how people would feel with like Lord of the Rings, where they've read about the setting so much that when they finally play in it, it's like, yes, I'm free. I can see all the references and stuff. But yeah, that was my third South Park series.
Jeez, your third, the one that I told you
Left
weren't
field.
gonna guess.
It's Pirates of the Caribbean Online.
Yeah, I remember when you played that.
Yep.
he said that, Pickles, and I'm like, what?
Adam used to do this. It's an MMO I never got into.
Yeah, I hadn't even heard of it. I was like, what?
It's an MMORPG.
I was thinking
set
of like
in the universe of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Disney game. Like what?
To be fair, I did start it, and I love MMOs, and I did not like that one. So
my third was my Sellout. I still feel dirty for picking it, but it still stands fucking strong. Pokemon.
just in general, Pokemon.
Yeah, I specifically chose the first ones because that's all I really played. To be fair, and that's like all I really know. I can't say, like, Pickles brought up specific ones where they had like the day and night cycles. Absolutely great feature. I don't know specifically which ones did what and all that, so I can't speak to that. So I just gotta throw out like Pokemon.
Right.
Plus, every game is basically the same. You start in a small town, you get a starter, you go beat the gyms, you become the leader. And there's like a terrorist organization along the way. That's every Pokemon game, to my knowledge. It's just they got more ice cream and more key rings as they went along. That's as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
We are on to round 4. Pickles, you kicked us off with
Disco Elysium.
That's the one that he was talking about when you joined.
Yep, very moody, very dark. You play the same character, but you can build yourself different ways. You can adhere to different political ideologies in it. It's such a very deep and fascinating setting that I don't know. I very much think it's a unique and worthy game here for greatest RPG of all time.
That brings us to Adis. Your number 4 pick.
Number 4 pick is going to be Borderlands.
That's a great fucking pick. I hadn't even thought of that.
Okay, I quit.
That is a great fucking pick. He. I'll be honest. Adis has a strong team going on right now with Witcher, with World of Warcraft, with Baldur's, or with
Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, not that one. Borderlands, like those 3. That's a solid fucking team right there.
Just watch, Rat. There's going to be an outcry of the Pirates of the Caribbean.
They're gonna be like, cancel Wrath. He didn't like the Pirates of the Caribbean pick. Damn it. I'm sorry. All right, maybe it's a good team member. I don't know. All right, Borderlands. Is there a specific one? Is there a reason? I mean, obviously, because obviously, but
yeah. I mean, Borderlands. If I had to pick one, I'd probably go with Borderlands 2, just because I've had the most amount of time spent in it.
Great.
And also,
actually, it's funny you brought that up. Pickles and I were literally talking about that yesterday.
Yeah.
Borderlands 2.
Yeah, and I think they fixed a lot of. There was a little bit of like, there was a couple things that, I mean, the story in 1 was fantastic, but 2 actually kind of built off that, and then they also added more guns, which I thought was always good. So yeah, Borderlands 2 is my pick there.
I'm gonna go back on what I said earlier. This was originally on my list, and I took it off for reasons, but I'm bringing it back on. I'm gonna go with, and as soon as I started talking about it, I was like, it has to be on my list. Assassin's Creed. I'm going 2 through 4, specifically because you play as, what the fuck's his name? Devin? No. Desmond Miles. I was like, it's there. You play as Desmond Miles, and it's his story through 2, 3, and 4. 2 was remarkable. I mean, I played through 1, and it was great, but, like, if you tried to play it nowadays, it's the worst fucking game. Like, nothing happens. You just travel between one spot in the desert to another spot in the desert. There's nothing to look. It's a really ugly game. But it started the series, and back then, it was groundbreaking for what it was. Like a parkour ninja assassin game. Like, it was sick. 2 broke me. And it's something that has affected me to this day. Have you guys ever heard me talk about how I love base building in RPGs? In TTRPGs?
Oh, just a little.
Yeah, just a little.
A wee bit.
Yeah.
That all comes from Assassin's Creed 2. You got the villa. And it was the best thing I've ever seen. And I was like, oh, I want to collect everything, because you could like decorate the walls with all your collectibles, and like as you progress through the story, your villa got better and nicer, and you got these walls, and then 3 came and they destroyed your villa, and I was so fucking mad. It affected me to this day. And I think if I had to pick one of them, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag will forever be on my list, because I mean, Tough Nuts got married. During his bachelor party, we're floating down a river singing sea shanties from Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Oh yeah.
We're sitting there just belting out, "Your up she rises." Like, I mean, I could get on any Discord call with any gaming group. I could join anyone and be like, "What do you do with a drunken sailor?" And I bet you people are gonna sing it, because it's such a great game. It affected so many people, and it's something that even to this day we still talk about. We were talking about in TTRPGs, the mood and the reward you felt from being able to upgrade your ship, you know, getting the cannons, getting, oh, I want these masts and this sail and this figurehead on the front, and oh yeah, all came from Assassin's Creed. So many things that have affected me to this day affect the way I like games, what I like in games, what I like in my TTRPGs, how I DM, came from Assassin's Creed. So it's on my list. It has to be. I could not put it on the list. That's my number 4. Tough Nuts. Your number 4 and why?
Not gonna lie, pretty tilted. Adam took World of Warcraft. Considering I introduced him to it.
You weren't here.
That's true. So if he took Classic, I'll take Retail. If that's okay.
I'll allow it.
I don't know what that means.
It's really a completely different game. Modern WoW versus original WoW.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because he did say he specifically was choosing the classic vibe to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I agree. That's better. But he already took it. So. But
I agree.
Yeah. Retail WoW, like modern WoW, still has parts of it that I really like. I think, honestly, their latest expansion with Dragonflight is some of their best storytelling they've ever done in the 15 years of the franchise. Well, and I'm not including, you know, the old Warcraft games and stuff, like just the MMO. But, yeah, like their storytelling is fantastic. The cadence and how you level was fantastic. I personally am more, like, I love collecting stuff in the game, so, and I've been doing it for so many years now. Like, I really like it. I have my gripes with the way they do retail these days. There's certain things I disagree with and wish they would change.
Yep.
But it's still gotta be like Lord of the Rings Online used to be my most played game, and WoW has like completely blown that out of the water. Like not even close. So it's gotta be on my list. So yeah, probably that one.
I've literally sat here and changed my 5th choice like 10 times. Like, no, wait, this one. Oh, what about this game? And I just remembered another game that I think has to be on my list. So it's now my number 5. We'll get to that.
I bet you no one guesses my 5th.
I bet you definitely people could guess my 5th. I don't think it would be your first 10 guesses, but you would guess it. But there's people new to chat, and just to get a recap on the scoreboard here of whose teams are what, let's go through real quick. Pickles, can you name your 1 through 4?
Yes. My first one was Diablo 2, Neverwinter Nights. Then the South Park games, Stick of Truth, Butthole, that one. And Disco Elysium.
Disco Elysium. I think Pickles has the most... God, what would be the word? The most
crowd
unique?
Pleasers. Oh.
Eclectic.
What?
Yeah. I don't think yours are like the top sellers, but I think yours have so much merit. And I think what is it? It's got like the sleepers. Like people are sleeping on those, and they should go play those games if they haven't.
Well, Diablo 2 is a bit of a big one, but yeah, I get what you mean. Overall, Diablo 2 is my crowd pleaser.
Yeah, Diablo's just feeling. Yeah, they're saying Neverwinter Nights is another big one. Especially for people who enjoy that style and that genre. Neverwinter Nights is probably on a lot of people's list of games they've definitely played. 1 through 4 for Adis.
So I got World of Warcraft Classic for my number 1. Got Witcher series for my number 2. Got Pirates of the Caribbean Online for my number 3. And Borderlands 2 for my 4th runner-up.
Such a solid list. It really is. I think if you were really looking for like crowd pleasers,
I please the people.
Pickles' picks are the ones most liked by people who love old school or narrative heavy RPGs.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. I'm curious what they'll say about Adis's. My 1 through 4, I don't know if I'm proud of this list or not, but
be proud. You did some good choices there.
Yeah, I guess Mass Effect 1 through 3.
Yeah.
Good one.
That's a great choice.
It had to be my top one. Like that is probably my most favorite game in history. Mass Effect 1 through 3. Not 4. We're ignoring that child. RuneScape, my number 2.
Also a big crowd pleaser.
Huge
I hear
crowd
about that on
pleaser.
Reddit all the time.
Yeah.
Like I'm always like, really? It's still going and people are upset about a current event?
My man, Mass Effect is definitely number 1. Yeah, Mass Effect's my number 1 for sure. RuneScape number 2, another, absolutely what Pickles is saying, huge. Pokemon number 3.
Nobody's
Huge.
heard of that game.
Yeah. And Assassin's Creed 2 through 4, I feel like is another huge. I feel like I've got a solid.
Be
game.
proud.
If I had to say there was a winner, I think Adis might beat me, but I feel like I'm coming in swinging.
You got some swingers in there.
What? 1 through 4 for toughness. Then what do you got?
Yeah, so I started with Lord of the Rings Online, which is very niche. Not a lot of people played it, but I don't care. I loved it.
As someone who doesn't like MMOs, go play it. It's a fun game. Even I put hours in that game.
Yeah, it's especially, I'll say, modern era reimaginations of Tolkien's Middle Earth it's a huge topic in the last year or two, and Lord of the Rings Online is one of the best groups that has attempted it. In some ways, even better than Peter Jackson's movies, which is saying a lot. So, if you're really into the books and if you're really into like authentic Tolkien, they've done a lot of work to like really make the game stand out in that sense. So I love it. I really do. But that one, and then I think I did Skyrim next.
No, Skyrim was one of your picks. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like I don't need to say much about Skyrim.
Yeah,
like
it
everyone knows
explains
Skyrim.
itself, really.
It's kind of like Borderlands. They're like Borderlands. They're like, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then my third one was Far Cry
Chat's
3.
even agreeing. Chat's like, yeah, I hate MMOs, but Lord of the Rings, great one.
Yep. Yeah, I know. MMOs are not for everyone, and Lord of the Rings Online is not the best MMO. Like, I accept that.
You can definitely tell the MMO players, he has 2 MMOs, he has 2 MMOs. We don't have any MMOs.
RuneScape is kind of an MMO.
Oh, yeah, I guess I do have RuneScape.
I would
Shit.
consider it
Yep.
an MMO.
It's absolutely an
Definitely
MMO.
an MMO.
Yep. You're right.
Yeah. So then, Far Cry 3, it's kind of an obscure one. I just have a lot of fun memories playing it. It's not the typical style of game I would gravitate towards, but
RuneScape is MMO, yeah. Far Cry, I don't know much about it. I didn't really get into it as much, but I would be surprised if there wasn't a Far Cry game on one of our lists.
Yeah. And then fourth one, did I already say a fourth?
Yeah, you made
just said it.
concessions, World of Warcraft, but
Oh yeah. World of Warcraft.
yeah.
Retail.
New Warcraft versus old Warcraft. World of Warcraft, not Warcraft.
Yeah, Adam just automatically beats me on that.
We rolled initiative though, and it's so I even have an unfair advantage, and I've perhaps wasted it. So don't beat yourself up over there.
Chat's
like
asking,
if you have to pick a list, you'll at least have 2 options that have Warcraft.
I mean, that's how drafts work. I mean, if you play fantasy football, granted, I'm sure none of you do, but maybe if you play fantasy football, if you do anything like that, like there are great players, and if you get really good on your draft picks, you're going to be able to pick them before anyone else, and that's just the way it works.
To be fair, Far Cry 3, it's not the classic like you're not like walking up to NPCs and like picking chat options all the time and the classic RPG things, but it is very role play. Like you're in this role and you're carrying out this story. So it's kind of borderline. I don't know. I can change it if we want.
Who's saying you need to change it?
Pickles actually said the exact same thing. He was like, "Is that an RPG?" Now chat says,
"Well, I've never played
Far Cry's an RPG."
Yeah,
I mean,
I count it. I mean, I think it would be. I mean,
yeah. I mean, we're not we're not getting ourselves entrenched into civil wars and warlords and Far Cry 3 is one
Definitely
where
playing
you're
a role where you're doing that.
you're playing a role of like getting.
We did an
involved with
episode where we're
things.
like, what classifies an RPG?
Yeah.
And remember, I think like we were like most games do. I think like Sims, we're like no, but I think like most games you could fit into an RPG. I mean, even fucking. I mean, what classifies an RPG? I mean, we could go back and have that discussion in another episode. But like Call of Duty, isn't an RPG. I mean, I'm not running on walls and shooting people. I mean, well, granted,
and you're also changing your loadout.
Well, hold up. I think a critical part of a role-playing game is the ability to make decisions that affect the plot.
Yes.
Like Doom is not an RPG because you are simply going forward. There's only one outcome. And I think an RPG has to have some sort of ability to but then that would make Diablo 2 not work because you have to go kill the enemy. Shot myself in the foot there.
Well, I think it's
a discussion for next episode. Stay tuned. We'll talk because I think that would be a great discussion to revisit. Because last time we just kind of were like, everything. But I think it would be a great discussion to actually dive into now that we're a little bit more familiar with the podcast and like discussing these things. So yeah, for now, fuck it. Diablo counts. Far Cry down. Yeah. They were asking, I don't know what OSRS or Martin RS means, but I'm guessing you're talking about RuneScape. So
old school RuneScape.
Oh, old school.
Yeah.
I only played old school, but it wasn't old school. It was RuneScape. Thanks for calling me old. But it was just RuneScape. There wasn't a new RuneScape. It was just RuneScape, and that's what I played. The fact that it's still going on today, good for them. What the difference is between them, couldn't fucking tell you. Don't know. I don't play it anymore. But RuneScape. I know I'm kind of cheating. I have Pokemon. I have RuneScape. They're different stuff, but I don't know enough to pick and choose between them. Just the fact that I mean, granted, you look at Pokemon Red and you look at Pokemon, what the fuck is Ultraviolet Gem?
Crystal Meth.
Yeah,
they're on to Pokemon Crystal Meth and crack cocaine.
They're the same fucking game. Argue. Well, I don't care. They've tweaked stuff and added features, absolutely. And I think it's probably made it a better game, like we addressed before. We're backtracking now. We're going to keep going forward. Final Fantasy games, not on the list. I haven't played Final Fantasy games, so I wouldn't put them on my list, but I'm surprised no one else has. But there's still one more round, so we'll see what else comes up. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything in chat here. Everyone, even they're saying only ever played Far Cry 2. That was also
a great game.
That's
and I mean, you do make choices in Far Cry 2, at least. Like, you pick who you want your buddy to be and who you want to save, and you have narrative options, I guess, in that one, at least. It's just, it doesn't have, like, the traditional, you're building a character sheet. Except you do, it's just your character sheet is your comrades, and you don't because you're Mr. Pickles, and you're an antisocial sniper. So you're just like, I never call my buddies. F them.
And they definitely expanded on that in 3. I would argue through 5. I haven't played enough of 6 to have a judgment one way or the other. But 3 through 5, certainly there are certain decisions that you make in the storyline that change the outcome of how the game ends. Matter of fact, in 4 and 5, that was a part of the Easter egg, was that you could simply just sit there for the opening sequence, not touch any buttons, and you would get a certain ending. So, I mean,
yeah, you could do multiple playthroughs and have the game end differently.
Have any of you guys played the Mafia series?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I haven't, so I don't know. They're asking, would you call Mafia 3 an RPG?
I played Mafia 1, and I broke the speed limit of 25 miles per hour many, many times.
Has anyone played Mafia 3? I haven't played it.
Yeah,
I think I did a watch through of someone playing the Mafia series, and it was a great series. It seemed like a great story. I haven't played it.
I'd kind of put that in the same ballpark as like almost the same ballpark as a Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, is GTA an RPG in that sense? You can customize your crib.
Yeah,
customize your character,
customize cars, character.
Yeah, you have stats, you have loadouts, you have. I mean, do you affect the story?
I feel like we got to move on from this topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're supposed to do this in the next episode. God damn it. Moving on. We're already at 40 minutes over, but it's fine.
I thought we were going to the top of the hour here. We got like 22 minutes.
It's an hour-long podcast. We're in the second hour.
Yeah, well, it's fine. Because my wife's not home and we can go late.
5.
Yeah, round 5.
We're gonna go
That's
reverse.
me, right?
We're gonna go reverse. We're gonna give it to Tough Nuts.
Oh.
Is that okay?
No,
I thought it'd be fun to mix it up. I don't know.
Yeah, let's mix it up.
Okay.
Party
What,
time.
is Adam afraid I'm going to steal something?
I
from
think
you?
he's afraid you're gonna
Yes,
pick
because you've taken 2 of mine.
What have I taken?
Skyrim was definitely, and I think Far Cry.
Skyrim was one of mine, and then
Well,
Far
you
Cry
took
was-
my main one, so I don't care.
have I taken any ones? Yeah, I didn't think
Assassin's
so.
Creed.
Well,
Assassin's Creed, yeah. Assassin's Creed,
Yeah.
I could see that one being on your list.
Okay, well, I have a meme one
Oh.
that I wouldn't actually put on my my
Th-
5.
We're gonna have a afterwards we'll have a like runner up like ones.
Honorable mentions.
Yeah,
Okay.
honorable mentions. Thank you. Yes,
Okay.
because
then
I have a list of honorable mentions that I was gonna put, but I didn't.
I have one that I would put if I had to, but I think I'm gonna go with Fallout 3.
Fallout series. I'm surprised no one has said that yet. Yep,
well, because
absolutely.
I mean, this morning on your Discord, like we were talking about Fallout quite a
Yeah,
bit.
that's why I told you guys. I was
and
like,
so
this
it's
is
kinda
supposed to be secret. As you guys are like,
Well, and that's why I was
getting a
like,
list
yeah,
and
I'm not
talking.
gonna. I won't use Fallout now. I don't need the crutch of the isometric series. Fallout 3 is great though. Go on about it.
Yeah, wait, Fallout 3. What?
That's the first
what one was
first
that?
person one.
Yeah, the reason I say that one is, again, because that's the one I have the most experience with. It kind of came out at a time where I had a lot of time. And so I played the heck out of that game. And it's, it's another Bethesda game. It's like, so there's some similarities in feel to Skyrim, just very different theme. And I like the way they made that generation of games. There's some terrible Fallout games too, in my opinion. But but yeah, like just fond memories of 3 for me.
Yeah,
Which
if
were
I
the bad
remember right,
ones?
3 was the first one I played of the Fallout series, and I remember I was like, "Damn, like this." I don't know how I didn't hear about this before. I don't know how I missed the first 2. Granted, from what I saw, the first 2 were very different to
That's
the
why I
following.
want to know which ones are the bad ones.
If I remember right, God, I can't remember. Fallout 6?
Yeah.
Oh, Fallout
76.
76. That was it. Fallout 76 came out and had like it bombed. I didn't play it. I don't know much about it, but I saw the
It was the
reviews.
MMO.
I saw the reviews and I was like, "Oh, fuck."
I think like, so with some of those, like, there was some politics too when they were dropping, and also
I can quickly
I think, yeah, and I think they, like, in modern times have probably rebounded on reviews. I think there's more of a positive outlook on them now than when they first dropped. But it was because of, like, expectations for the games when they were dropping, and, like, missed expectations for the fan bases. Because you have to understand, like, especially with Bethesda, and you look at their games like Skyrim, and then Fallout 3 came out, and, like, they had incredibly high expectations for their fan bases. And so when they missed a mark on a subsequent release, I think that really made waves for the company.
You
just
didn't
my 2
like
cents.
New Vegas?
I
Because that's what came next, I believe.
yeah, I didn't play much New Vegas, so I don't feel like I could comment on it.
I think I played more New Vegas than I did 3.
Yeah, I've played some 4 and I enjoyed it.
I think I
But I
played
haven't
4
played.
once.
Yeah, I haven't played nearly as much as I played 3.
Was it Fallout 4 where you could like build your own little community?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I did play that one. I remember.
Mhm.
I remember it being really janky too. I was kind of like, I mean, it's kind of scratching my itch. Like, it kind of hits the mark that I love, but It's really janky, but it did allow me to like build stuff and like move it and set up, things. And I was like, I mean, that's cool. There's okay. It's gonna go in my honorable mentions. I just thought of another one that would have to be on my list, but I don't think it technically would qualify as an RPG. So I'm putting in my honorable mentions. My number 5. Yeah, my number 5 is going to be Ark Survival Evolved.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I thought of that, but I didn't think it was an RPG.
It kind of is.
You craft, you level up your character, you
Yeah.
got skills, you got
recipes that you
I
unlock.
guess.
Yeah.
And you build your recipes based on what you want to be able to do for your tribe.
Yep.
Because apparently you can't just unlock everything.
Yep. And you can
If those
have
kinds
roles
of games are in, then I might change some of mine, but that's okay.
Ark Survival Evolved is going to be my number 5, and one huge community game. Love to play with friends. So many memories. Probably one of my top played games on this Steam account. Granted, I lost my old Steam account, but this Steam account, I think Ark is 5. I think it outranks all my other games by like 500 hours. There's not really much more I can say about it. Love it. I think I played it when it first came out. I think I played it with Tough Nuts when it first came out, before it was optimized, when it took like 3 hours just to load into a server. Like you pre-alpha. I think that was also one thing I hate about Ark is I think they were one of the first games to be like, we're gonna release pre-alpha, and now every game does that.
Yep.
But yeah, when it first came out, like you'd be like, okay, I'm loading in. I'll be back in like an hour and let you guys know. It's like, all right, we're in. Like, we'll see you in a bit. And it was also the one where you'd come back in an hour, you'd be like, okay, I'm like halfway loaded in. We're like, okay, we've only died like 200 times. Because it's brutal. It was brutal.
That was the thing.
But for some reason, I'm going to put it best RPGs of all time. I think Ark Survival Evolved definitely, I think it was unique, and I think it did something that a lot of games didn't do. They weren't doing it, and I think it's paved the way for games to start doing stuff like that. I think it was kind of the branch for that, and so it's my number 5.
All right. I knew it. All right. Well, so the Metro series is going to be my 5th choice.
A game I haven't played, but wanted to, never played.
Fantastic game. Yeah, played through all 3 of the. Is it 3 of them, or there's a couple of them? But
I know
I played through
2.
the whole.
I don't.
So there's. Oh yeah, so Metro.
Are you talking about
2033.
Metro? Was it Metro Exodus? Was that a thing?
Yeah, Last Light and then Exodus.
Yeah. Okay, so there were 3. Yeah.
There's 3. Yeah. But yeah, fantastic games. I really like them from the aspect of the idea of like this like subterranean society, and I love the survival mixed with a little bit of like thriller with like the monsters, and then also like you had your like factions within the tunnels sort of thing, but you could also go up to the surface, but you knew it was like radioactive, so it was like when you were outside you knew it was like, oh, this is dangerous. I really enjoyed the game, and I loved like there was a crafting system in it, and you could get different endings based on how you played. It kind of had like a karma system, almost like the Dishonored series, another one that would have been in my honorable mentions.
Yeah, great series. I deeply enjoyed that one.
Yeah, so it had
Pickles
similar
bought me
sort
Dishonored
of
too.
karma system. Yeah.
Yep, I played through Dishonored 1, loved it, and Pickles was like, here's Dishonored 2, and I was like, thank you!
Yeah, that's what I did.
He's like, I don't remember.
Yeah.
You did. You bought me Dishonored 2. Yeah. Thank you.
That's sweet of me, I guess.
Yeah.
On the same vein as the Mass Effect series, you play as the same character all the way through, so I'm gonna claim the series.
Chat has brought up a good point. You win the spookiest game on the list so far.
Yeah.
I don't think there's another one on there. Before Pickle says his, I want to catch up on chat here. They're saying New Vegas was a different company who did 3, 4, and 76. And that is this right here, this is something I knew about New Vegas. They were only given a year and a half to make it. They were given New Vegas was made in such a short time. I do remember hearing about that. Diablo 2 is a little spooky, I guess. Yeah, Diablo 2 could be in there.
Devils and hell and whatnot.
New Vegas was made. Excuse me. New Vegas was a different company who did 3, 4, and 76. So 3, 4, 76 were different than whoever made New Vegas. New Vegas was the same people who made 1 and 2.
And
yeah,
that's what
okay.
I didn't know.
And I mean, I like 1, 2, and Tactics, but that's.
I've heard good things about Fallout Tactics. Arc was a painful experience for me. Arc was a painful experience for everybody.
All of us. Yes.
Everyone had a painful experience. Still love it. Still would probably end up if I had a community who was like, yo, we want a community server to play Arc and we will all be on regularly, I'd be like, fuck yeah.
I'd play it again, but let's wait till winter.
Yeah, you've got enough stuff going on. Adis told me you guys are gonna be busy for a bit, so
Yeah.
Okay. Pickles, you're number 5.
My number 5 is sort of like 3 games, and they're not fully connected, but I think you'll see the connection and why I deserve to select these 3 games. So the main one though is Disgaea Hour of Darkness on the PlayStation 2.
Yep.
An isometric, like team-based game where you have your squad of individuals, and they all have their different roles. You have your wizards, you have your healers, you have your fighters, you have your counter attack people, you have your edgelords. You know, you have everything. And I really fell in love with that kind of game when I got Tactics Ogre Knights of Lotus on the Game Boy Advance. It was a similar thing where you're just building your party of mercenaries and you go between maps. And like the big thing in that game that I loved was, wow, you have the opportunity to persuade enemies to be on your team, to persuade monsters to join your team. I'd never seen that before in any other RPG, was being able to leverage your social ability to bring them onto your team. And so after Tactics Ogre, like I played that game and I brought it over to my friend's house. I'm like, oh my gosh, you have a Game Boy too. You should try this game. And he's like, hold up, that looks like Final Fantasy Tactics. I'm like, I've never heard of this because I'm like in 6th grade. So, and he puts it in. I'm like, oh my gosh, Final Fantasy Tactics on the PlayStation 1, just about the same thing. And so that led for me a what I call my number junkie phase, where I just played these games that are these turn-based, isometric, grid-based combat, like chess, but with the advantage on my side, and just like you're power leveling your characters, and that's why I picked Disgaea Hour of Darkness as my favorite. So the first one I found had so much replayability for me. You go to the item world. What is the item world? Well, it's you taking your equipment and just power leveling each item that you have for all of your squad members, and like going through procedurally generated maps. It's so much fun for me. And like RPG in the most numerical sense. It's like, yeah, now I have plus 7% experience because I busted through this sword that has experience goblins in it, and I unlocked them, and now every time I fight with the sword on, I'll get more experience, and it's just, everything is just those percentiles.
What's interesting is, chat's saying I didn't think that like Disgaea. I wouldn't expect to have seen that here. I would say I played Disgaea, and I played a lot of it. I don't think it's a game I actually even like. I think Pickles liked it so much that I was like, I want to like this. Because I remember Pickles was like, yo, this game is my favorite. Like, play this. And I was like, okay, I'm going to play it. And I was like, I don't like it, but I'm going to keep playing. I'm surprised you didn't put the Barbarian game on there.
Gladius.
Yeah, Gladius. I'm surprised.
I hate that game.
Top RPG?
You know, it's only playable if you cheat. The game itself is such a bully. Yeah, like it's a turn-based RPG, like Disgaea, like Final Fantasy Tactics, like Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, Tactics Ogre, all the tactics. But how they play it is you do your attack, and you have to time everything perfectly. So it's like combo attack. You do multiple hits that do lots of damage. Very cute puppy, by the way. And it's like, so if you fail at your precision after playing for hours, you just can't even really win. And that's one thing. But the fact that the game is like, okay, any enemy has to be higher level than you, and they have full equipment. You start with pennies, because you are the princess and a barbarian king. Oh wait, hold up. The other style that you can play is like, I'm an imperial prince and I'm penniless. And it's like, okay, so how is any of this making sense? You have to cheat.
We definitely
have to
do a
cheat
draft
to
of,
make
like,
that game work.
Worst RPGs of all time.
Yeah, that I love the game, but it's not okay.
Okay, so to wrap this one up, 1 through 5, we'll go reverse order for no reason. Tough Nuts, you're 1 through 5.
Lord of the Rings Online, Skyrim, Far Cry 3, World of Warcraft, specifically modern World of Warcraft, or retail, and then I said Fallout 3.
I think that's a pretty solid list, honestly. He's got the Far Cry series, which I'm just throwing it in as a series because no one else has any of them. He's got the Far Cry series, he's got the Fallout series, he's got 2 solid MMOs. And another. Oh, and fucking Skyrim. Yeah, that's a fucking solid list. Yeah. So myself, I have Mass Effect, primarily 1 through 3, RuneScape, Pokemon, Assassin's Creed, primarily 2 through 4, and Ark Survival Evolved. I feel like out of all of those, I think Ark is my most wild card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's pretty popular though.
It
is.
And far as I know, it's the only game out there.
RuneScape's popular though.
Very popular.
Well, not only Ark is not Ark is the only popular game. I mean, Ark is the only game out there that's does what Ark does. I don't know another game where you can do anything like that.
Train dinosaurs.
Yeah, like the closest Monster Hunter, I guess, would be the closest thing, maybe.
Nah, even then you're still hunting them.
Right. I mean, in Ark you do that as well, and you craft stuff out of that. That's why I was like, maybe Monster Hunter is the closest thing you could get to Ark.
Modded Minecraft, maybe.
Minecraft. That's one I'm surprised no one said.
Well, that's
that's a stretch. That's a pretty big stretch.
Tough Nuts. Adise, 1 through 5.
All right, so I got World of Warcraft Classic, Witcher series, Pirates of the Caribbean Online, Borderlands. Nobody else took any, so I'm going to claim the series.
Might as well.
Yeah, well, no, once you claimed it, then I couldn't take it. Number junkie comment, but...
Yeah. And then Metro series.
That's a surprising one for me. I wouldn't have expected Metro, but it's good to see. I never played it, but whenever I've looked at like games to play, it's continuously popped up as like a popular game that would be in my like games you would like.
Yeah.
Pickles 1 through 5.
Yeah, my 1 through 5, if you are just tuning into this show, my 1 through 5 is Diablo 2 because I'm a crowd pleaser, Neverwinter Nights because I like games, South Park games like Stick of Truth and Fractured Butthole, Disco Elysium because I've got a darker side and whatever, Disgaea Hour of Darkness, and related games such as Final Fantasy Tactics, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, Tactics Ogre Knights of Lotus on the Game Boy Advance.
Also throw in, I think Suikoden has a tactics game.
I believe they do, but I never played it, so it technically fits. But it's like Meikai Kingdom and La Pucelle. I have them on my shelf of PlayStation 2 games over there, but they were inferior to Disgaea, Final Fantasy Tactics, Tactics Advance, and Tactics Ogre Knights.
So I'm curious for honorable mentions. I have a couple. Does anyone else have a couple?
Yeah, I have
3.
Okay.
Can we like rapid fire these?
Yeah. Not in order. These are just okay. We'll start with Adise. He hasn't gotten the start. Adise, what are your honorable mentions?
So I had 2 that I could think of in the time that we had. So one of which was mentioned already, Fallout New Vegas. That was one of my honorable mentions. But then also Dark Souls.
Yeah,
Dark Souls. I could see that.
Yeah, the Dark Souls series.
Didn't make the list.
Didn't make the list, but
Dark Souls was beaten out by Pirates of the Caribbean Online. Hear that, guys? Now you know. Wouldn't have expected that. Didn't see that one coming.
Yes, I like it. I put my stamp of approval on that.
I don't know if the commenters are going to agree with you, but I'm here for it. I want to see them comments. I want to know. I want to know what people think. It
was canceled back in like 2015 or something like that, but you know.
still one of the best ever. Let's mix it up. Let's go tough nuts. What are your honorable mentions?
I was gonna say Dark Souls, and actually, I would maybe replace Far Cry 3 with Dark Souls, but that's fine.
Dark Souls would beat the Far Cry series. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It still doesn't beat Pirates of the Caribbean Online, but
but that's fine. The meme one that I was gonna say, and you guys are gonna hate me, but Toontown Online.
I thought of Toontown.
Oh, I remember that.
I thought of
I remember
Toontown.
that.
It was in my honorable mentions. I thought about it when I was talking about Pirates of the Caribbean Online, almost like a Disney game, and I was like, Toontown.
Oh. I saw commercials for that. I always wanted to play it.
Yeah,
Yep.
I
Jelly.
played that one.
I did play it.
I played a lot of that.
I had maxed out characters. It's the only MMO I can say I beat the game because it wasn't that extensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a child that was.
And with Toontown, you could throw in like, I don't know, Club Penguin. I guess wouldn't count as an RPG. It was just kind of like
no, it would.
It would.
It's like a okay, maybe I'll get some shade here, but it's like a youth, like an introductory RPG. You're making your own character. You're doing things. Okay, no,
I mean,
I'm not with
I'm
it.
not a
I'd say so.
penguin. I'd be role playing as a penguin, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, and you can customize your penguin. I assume I never played
Yeah.
Club Penguin because I
and
wasn't
your
invited.
igloo. You could customize your igloo and deck it
Yeah,
out.
if you had one.
Yeah. What's that again? Wizards 101.
Wizards 101, yeah.
But throw in another
But-
like Toontown style.
That was such a money grab.
They just wanted money. Yeah.
If we're going with like worst RPGs, that's top of my list.
Yeah.
What's
You want to talk about a
the,
game that is just there to take all your money?
Raid Shadow.
Raid Shadow.
Raid Shadow.
Oh, I'm never gonna get sponsored. If there was anyone that would sponsor me, it'd be them, just because they sponsor everybody.
They sponsor everyone.
That's a good one. My well, I've got a couple. How many you got, Pickles?
Like 3, but 2 of them are quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so yeah, Borderlands 1. I loved the number grinding of just you use a weapon because you got it conveniently and it's slightly better. You build up that skill with that weapon. It's like, okay, now my pistols are slightly better all around. And I don't know. I just love building numbers, and that's why I went to counting. Fallout 1 and 2. I grew up with, in the sense that I was a child when I saw the first one, didn't understand the numbers, barely literate, barely conscious, age 7. And so I just kind of went into it, and I didn't understand what I was doing, but it really intrigued me. It was one of those early introductions to a D&D-like system. And when I was able to approach it later, it was like, oh, okay, I see what I was interpreting. And so it's very nostalgic for me in that sense. Same with number 2, is it's also the same style, isometric. Everything is weird, like you have to specifically analyze things if you want to get text-based information on what's going on. But yeah, Fallout 1 and 2. I also like Fallout 3, but I can't select that because it was selected. That's just a great game. No, my honorable mention that I couldn't really put on my list is Dungeon Siege. If you're familiar with Diablo 2 and Neverwinter Nights, it's very, very similar, but it breaks a number of rules. Normally in these games, you start out in an area where you can buy and sell equipment. You can customize your character being like, I want to upgrade some stuff. I want to like focus on I don't need armor. I want my ranged weapon. Or I want more armor and my melee weapon can be kind of weak. That kind of thing. You prepare in town and then you go into the dungeon. But Dungeon Siege, you start out on a farm that is being attacked and like, yeah, you start with garbage. You wander through the woods trying to find out what's going on. You go into a dungeon. You come up on the other side and you travel more. And it's 2 hours into the game by the time you finally get to a village and can be like, oh, blacksmith, can I get some armor? I'm wearing garbage and I'm wielding a pitchfork. And so, yeah, it was very revolutionary and also still quite fun. Hurt the loot goblin in me because you couldn't carry every single thing on that massive 2-hour quest to just travel to town. The bridge is out. That's why you have to go through a dungeon, by the way. But
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiler on like a game from
I'd
2006.
rather just swim.
Well, you have to jump down a cliff and then swim and then climb a cliff.
Oh yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
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 But going through a
Yeah, so
dungeon.
go through a dungeon.
Chat likes that one. They said, "Hey, Dungeon Siege."
Yeah, it was also co-op. You could have your friend join you. It didn't happen though because your name is Mr. Pickles.
There.
Yeah, what are your honorable mentions?
God, one of them I can't remember the name of. We'll see
Still
if you guys
here,
can
but
help me
I'm
out
gonna
with.
step away for a second.
My first one, a big one, Stardew Valley / the Harvest Moon series. I feel like they took Facebook farm game, whatever, and I mean, granted, I think they came first, but a huge series. Definitely, Stardew Valley is one of the top selling like fucking games of the century or whatever, like right up there with like a Skyrim. I think those are worth an honorable mention. Fable. The Fable series.
Yeah, I was thinking about that one.
Yep, definitely an honorable mention. Definitely one I still pull aspects of that for like D&D games and stuff. It's based on Harvest Moon. Yeah, the Harvest. That's what I said. Stardew Valley / Harvest Moon, because Harvest Moon came first. Harvest Moon died out, and then recently found out they actually went off the developer. There was some split, some politics happened. They split, started making a game called Story of Seasons, which apparently there's like 5 of them out or something like that now. I bought the most recent one. It wasn't my vibe because it's very cutesy. It's very... No, I was like, I'm not really a lot of type anymore. So I was like, it's not for me. But, like, I was talking with somebody, I was like, yo, Stardew Valley is a game I still play and, like, still replayability, like, still having a lot of fun with it. And they were like, you should try out Story of Seasons. It's the Harvest Moon people. I was like, oh, cool. So it's still big. I think it's still worth a mention. Fable series, absolutely. Baldur's Gate is one that I think was brought up in Discord, wasn't brought up in here. Baldur's Gate, I think it was the first one, possibly the second one, was out on the original Xbox. And I remember I would go over to my neighbor's house and we would sit and play it, and it was awesome. Like, I was like, this is amazing. This is before I ever played D&D. I was like, oh, I love whatever this is. A lot of familiarity there, a lot of memories. Kingdom Hearts. Surprised that one. I was like, Kingdom Hearts is a big one. I think it at least deserves an honorable mention for sure. This one is probably a more personal one. Suikoden / Fire Emblem. If anyone's familiar with those, they're JRPGs. I'm not super familiar with them, but they're games I absolutely loved. I fell in love with. Enjoyed the fuck out of them. Another personal one, Expeditions Vikings / Expeditions Rome recently came out. I think it was called Expeditions Rome. Recently came out, and I played through the entire thing in like one setting, because I was like, this is not really one sitting, but like consecutively. I was like, I'm not playing anything else. I'm playing this. And I played through Expeditions Viking, came out fucking ages ago, but I did a recent playthrough of it just by myself because I was like, I want to play it again. Great series. Fucking great series. Baldur's Gate on Xbox is entirely different from Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 on PC. Well, I don't know. It's still Baldur's Gate. Fuck off.
I'm pretty sure the old ones came out like in the late 90s or maybe early. They came out in the 90s. I
just remember playing Baldur's Gate on the original Xbox, and I was like, "This is awesome." And I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3 now with these two. So obviously,
those guys.
Yeah, these two. My last one is Daisy. I know, probably not an RPG. I know, but I'm role-playing that I'm in a zombie apocalypse with a bunch of my buddies in the middle of like Eastern Europe somewhere. And there's base building. There's and I played that with you.
Yes.
I was gonna say you have some hours in that game. I was looking. I was like, we were building a base together. Yeah, we never finished.
Well, we might have played it before they had base building.
Yeah, well, because it's so Daisy originally came out as a mod for Arma 2,
right?
And my buddy was playing it, and that game alone got me off consoles and onto PCs, and I only game on PCs ever since then. I mean, granted, I'll still, if somebody was like, play Xbox, I'd be like, yeah, I'll come play your Xbox. But I turned into a PC gamer because of Daisy. And
It was
like,
you, me, and Jerry, I think.
yeah, that game was a
Jerry.
turning point for me in my life. Like a pivotal moment was getting into DayZ, and I spent, I think, 2 years straight playing DayZ. Like, I have memories, and there's actually a buddy of mine, we're not really close, but his name is Headshot Psycho. He still pops in, and we're still friends on Steam. We became friends in DayZ, and I remember on my birthday, I was getting cheated on by my current girlfriend. Not my current girlfriend. My girlfriend at the time.
It was
I don't know who I'm trying to offend. I'm single, but my girlfriend at the time, I was being cheated on. It was my birthday, and I was like, "Are you coming over?" And they're like, "Yeah, when I'm done hanging out with whoever." And I was like, "Thanks." And I went and got on the game, and I remember I was in a TeamSpeak with everybody, like everybody in the server. I was friends with everybody. Like, I was on this game for like 2 years straight, so I knew all these people. And they all changed their names in Discord to be like, happy birthday, you know, all this stuff. And they all sang happy birthday to me, and we played around in the server and like did this whole, like, they made a parade with like all the vehicles, and everybody's clans came rolling through. And it's like that kind of shit, you can't beat that. Like that was like 10, 15 years ago or some shit. And like, I still remember that, and it still tugs at heartstrings. And I'm like, when have I had a community like that since? I have been I've been trying to build one for like 10 years. It hasn't happened.
Wrath, that right there is why I think someday maybe you'll find an MMO you'll love.
For moments like that.
For moments like that, because it's out there. You just got to find the game that works for you, in my opinion. But
yeah. Well, like, I mean, I've been on DayZ the last 2 days straight, getting back into it. And I was like, I kind of miss this shit. So, I know DayZ probably doesn't count. Is as much an RPG as Far Cry or Assassin's Creed? Well, we'll have to have another discussion / debate on what qualifies an RPG. I think that would be a fun one to have.
If we're expanding the definition to be a little bit more inclusive, I would say Valheim gets another honorable mention by me.
Oh,
I love the.
I would throw that in. That's a good one.
Yeah, I love the theme of that game. I know you do too. Like, Vikings is your thing.
Yeah.
I would also throw in original Rust.
Rust, a game I never got into, but yeah.
I played that a ton with another group of friends, and
another
got
game
really
you want to talk about. Games ruined by the player base.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, like original Rust, a lot of good memories there. New World, they're basically still creating the game, but there were aspects of it that I did like, and I wish other games would use.
Yeah.
And then,
I really enjoyed New World. I really did. The only thing I didn't enjoy about it is that it's an MMO. Everyone else in the game, I was like, I don't like any of you. Go away.
Yeah, there were some of the gameplay, like, they didn't really develop a story, and I think that's starting to happen now, and I haven't played it since then. But some of the mechanics of the game I loved. Others I hated, but there were some parts of that game that were really cool that I think were unique and other games should try.
Yeah. Even I had fun in that for the time that I played. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think I had a lot of fun through the whole intro, and then once it was like, okay, you're done with the intro, here's the open world MMO aspect, I was like, nah, I'm good later.
Yeah.
But it got to the point of where you were just running between quest boards, turning stuff
Quest boards in town. That's where I was like,
I just dropped. I was like, nah.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was a mistake by the devs that got fixed pretty quick. And basically what it did is all the quests they made in the game weren't as rewarding as just grinding one thing. And so nobody played the game. Everyone just grinded the same thing, which ruined the game. They've since changed that. You can't do that anymore.
I remember, yeah, I think it was you were telling me, you're like, I need to get this thing, what was it, an ore or something. I need to get this, but there's literally people camped just sitting there waiting for it to spawn so they can get it, and you'll never get it.
Yeah. So yeah, there's some like core functions of the game that they just missed on, and it made the game like not work, in my opinion. And I think they're trying to change a lot of that stuff. But there were some things in the game that was great.
I would throw Subnautica in. I think Subnautica deserves an honorable mention as well. I think it did
The last
something,
one I was going to throw
it
out
did
was
something
BioShock.
a lot of other games didn't do. BioShock, another, yeah.
Mhm.
Subnautica did something that a lot of games don't do, and I think it would fit kind of that spooky vibe. I mean, it fucking terrified you when you were in the middle of the ocean, fucking deep as fuck, and all of a sudden, what were they called? Like a kraken looking thing comes at you, and you're like, fuck! I would throw Subnautica in as an honorable mention. BioShock's a good honorable mention as well. Another one that there's specific reasons I didn't bring this one in. Dragon Age. Dragon Age Inquisition was by far a great fucking game. And the original ones were Dragon Age Origins and great games. Absolutely.
The music, one of the best soundtracks.
Absolutely. I actually I had a Dragon Age soundtrack on my intro screen on streams for a while. Absolutely. And I think Dragon Age Inquisition has a soundtrack from when you're in the tavern. I think it's right when you make your Inquisition and they start singing it. And I remember just sitting there and I was like, fuck, I love this. However, Dragon Age Inquisition also has this fucking valley that you spend like fucking 40 hours in, and it just becomes the most monotonous, miserable time of your life. And it's like you get through the intro section, and then you're in this valley, and you're in this valley for like maybe 3/4 of the entire game, and you're just like, let me move on. Yeah, that also ruined the game for me. Like, I love Dragon Age, but also didn't love Dragon Age. But I've also replayed Dragon Age. Satisfactory. I'm not throwing Satisfactory in. Also, I don't know if that would count as an RPG.
We're pushing it a bit aggressively here with our choices.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit. Dragon Age is an RPG. I don't know about Satisfactory.
Yeah, that is an RPG, but some of these options, they're
I guess Subnautica might not be either. I mean, yeah, we'll have to do a discussion on what an RPG technically qualifies as.
Last time when we had that discussion, we didn't look at a lot of examples.
Yeah,
I think
we were just like everything except Sims. That was what we said. I think is what it came down to.
I remember
that
day.
trading card
came
games.
in late. Came in late, and I was like, no, guys, no. There's definitions for things. You're like, no, there aren't.
Yeah, no, we've already decided.
I was like, no. Everything is fantasy. It's like, yeah, I guess.
Well, an RPG doesn't have to be fantasy.
Yeah.
Or an RPG doesn't have to be classic fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at
Metro,
you look at Mass Effect. Those are future. I mean, some people might say Mass Effect's not an RPG.
No.
No.
Come on.
I could see the argument because I mean, if you're going on like skill trees and like, I mean, if you put Skyrim as like, this is an RPG. You've got skill trees, you've got your little star constellation shit, you've got gear loadouts, you've got quests, you've got impact on the world, you've got, all that, right? Skyrim is an RPG. Compared to Mass Effect doesn't have that. I mean, it has some.
Leveling your equipment
it does
is a
have
form
leveling
of...
up, yeah. I mean, it does have all that.
I still, and we don't have to get into it, but
I say it's an RPG.
Yeah. I still think it doesn't really matter the mechanics of the game. It's just, is it story driven, and does the player have agency in that story to impact it? Like, is the player part of telling the story, or are you just experiencing the story that they threw at you?
But then that makes Diablo 2 and like Diablo 1 classic RPGs not RPGs because you don't really have a say. You just do the adventure, you kill the boss, and then you move on to the next area.
But I guess Diablo wouldn't fit.
But you do, because you can play your character differently. You can play different characters. Like,
true.
There's some,
So like then Assassin's Creed.
Well, this is getting into like choices matter.
Has a story. Yeah, you don't. Assassin's Creed. I mean, you play through the story. I mean, yeah, you can take a break and go do side quests, but there's only the one story. You can't like change the story of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I ran into this problem earlier before you joined in. I think I said actually something similar, is that you should have some impact on the story for it to be a role-playing game. But then I realized there's a lot of role-playing games that are just number crunching and like grinding for loot and whatnot, like Borderlands. You can't change anything that happens.
No.
In any of them. you will just hit the point where you're betrayed by that one guy, and then you have to fight him, and then you kill his pet pig, and then you go and raid his base, and then you blow him up, but he's also a demon, and then you go to the gate, and yeah.
So
like,
a lot of our list, Borderlands, Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, those would be not RPGs.
But here's the thing. I think that there are aspects of RPGs, and you can, like, if you look at it like there's a number of options and that you only need 3 of 5, then it starts to make more sense. Is like some RPGs are very linear, so you don't have the chance to like change the plot, but you still build your character, you have loot like stuff, you have replayability, that kind of thing. But some RPGs don't have replayability, but they have the ability to influence plots, that kind of thing, I think.
Look at like an MMO, like look at WoW for example, and I know Wrath, you haven't played it much, and I don't know if Pickles if you've played WoW, but
20
the
seconds.
Quests, the quests in WoW are like I don't get to choose what I do for the quest. Like I go do it, but like Pickles is saying, there's so much in the game that I can choose to go do. I can choose to completely ignore content, and I'm still playing the game.
Yeah.
Like, and so that in itself, even though I'm not like selecting dialogue options and changing the major plot of the story for millions of people, you know, that's still going to be the same, but I would still definitely consider it an RPG because you're playing your character in this world that's created how you want to play it, and you have agency there.
Yeah, and I would say that Borderlands also has that same sort of idea of, yeah, there's the linear story that you're being told, but you have agency over the character that story is being told around.
Yeah, you do have like it's 4 different characters or something you can play.
Yeah, so you have 4 different characters that you can choose from, and then you can also change their skill trees.
Yeah.
And then you also have the randomness of the weapons that you get and go play with.
Well, that brings up the simplification then is an RPG just a game where you can make a choice? Like if you look at Doom, you pick up a gun and it's a better gun usually. Like you go from the pistol to the shotgun. You don't use the pistol if you have the shotgun.
If
you
Doom
get the minigun,
is an RPG, then RoboQuest is an RPG.
Well, my argument is Doom is not an RPG.
Yeah, I would agree.
You go through the plot. It's very linear. There's no reason to use a pistol over the minigun. And so therefore there is no choice. There is no way to impact the plot. You go forward. Like Mario. Mario's not an RPG unless it's Super Mario RPG. You go from point A to point B. If you get the Fire Flower, that's kudos to you, but it's just good to have that. And I think with Borderlands, that makes it an RPG in the sense that if you're really, really good with pistols, then don't use a rocket launcher.
That, yeah.
Like there has to be a choice or a purpose. I think then that Far Cry, even Far Cry 2, would be an RPG because you make the choice of what weapons you want to invest in with the diamonds you find in the briefcase. You level your weapons and you make your choices for what you want your build to be. And I guess you could say RPG Light is the kind of thing where you can fill out the entire skill tree and get everything, like Far Cry 2, where you can upgrade every single weapon if you get all the diamonds. But I think choice has to be the key thing. An RPG gives you a choice at least.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I think there has to be multiple criteria. Because if you just go choice, then fucking Plate-Up's an RPG. But I think if you're like choice, story, replayability, maybe character, I think that goes in with choice, but character, what's the word that you guys keep using? Well, that too, I suppose, but
character creation?
No, character where you have a say in the world. Character.
I mean, look at Witcher. You're always the same Geralt.
Yeah.
You can play him different, but you don't create a character, right?
Yep.
Geralt.
Geralt.
Yeah, it's Geralt. I heard that too. I was like, did he just say that?
On Disco Elysium, you're playing the same character, but you get choices of how to build their mental state.
Yeah, and Witcher, you get to choose your mutagens, and that builds out your skill tree as to how you want to build your character.
Pokemon, everyone's
Geralt.
the same fucking character, but how you build your team is different.
Yeah.
Well,
there you go.
I gotta go.
Yeah, I think
we've thoroughly beat that one to the ground, but we'll do that again.
Probably more.
Did we fill up the hour?
2.5.
and
And I have to edit that? Fuck me.
Oh yeah.
You're welcome, viewers. Let us know which team. I'll put them back up on screen. Hopefully I saved them if I'm a good editor. And there's our choices. There's our teams. Let us know who wins in a fight to the death. That's all I got. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Discord. Join us for things like King's Crossing and Baldur's Gate 3 and Strange Chat Golden Ridge. And I will always love
you.
I love you
where that
guys.
came from. That's it. I'm out.
I'm so scary looking.